Campbell.
And I'm Ron Jackson.
Cerebral conversations on disability liberation and integration. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cerebral Conversations, episode 13. This is Cerebral Conversations, conversations on disability liberation and integration. I'm CJ Campbell.
And I'm Ron Jackson.
Ron, I've been away from you, I've missed you, and I haven't been able to get cerebral with nobody else.
I felt like part of me was missing.
Did you almost feel like you were crippled?
I did.
That's so weird.
I know.
So, tell me about your week while I was gone.
My week was pretty interesting because I came to the conclusion that helping other people find liberation is not as easy as it might sound.
It is really difficult. I mean, I remember when we first met and I was kind of trying to, get you to engage these ideas. I mean, it was about a 2-year process, really.
Yeah, so it's still a process, and now I'm kind of in the position of helping other people, and it's not easy because I'm still in the beginning stages myself, so I'm not the best person to give advice on these things quite yet.
I think you're doing a great job, though, and I mean, also something that I realized while I was working with you is that, like, they don't have to be liberated right all the way. I remember I was like, so you need to fight for yourself, and you're like, what do you mean? Everything's fine. And you know what? For a lot of it, I mean, I've kind of realized that if the person is happy the way they are, like, there's really not much you can do.
Right.
And yeah, but that's one of the struggles that we have. I mean, we talked to a lot of crippled brothers and sisters, and this whole even concept of the things we talk about is like they're like, I've never even thought about this. You know what's really interesting though is while I was in LA, I met people who are fans of the show.
That is awesome.
In fact, I met this girl named Dominique who has a friend named Jake Oliver. And I guess he watched a couple of our shows, and then he decided to start making his own videos. And I checked him out, and, like, the kid's kicking butt. I mean, he's doing way better than we are.
Way to go, Jake.
Yeah, Jake Oliver, way to, bring up the liberation. Yeah, and that was just an incredibly humbling experience. Just to like, randomly, like, oh, yeah, like, I've seen your show, and my friend watches it, and he's making his own videos. I'm like, I mean, I know that some people watch our shows, but
that is motivation in itself.
Absolutely. So, as you know, I was in LA for a couple days.
Yes.
I was at the Fourth Estate Leadership Summit hosted by Invisible Children, which is a cause in our organization that is very near and dear to my heart, to end the violence perpetrated by Joseph Kony and the Lord's Resistance Army. And I got some special recognition. I was the recipient of the 2013 Fourth Estate Action Award, and that was a really humbling experience.
It was really humbling to watch you receive the award as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I kept repeating things to people of one is I'm just so humbled. 2 is I wish I could do so much more. And 3 is I'm just a guy who never went to college, who volunteers at his rescue mission. I didn't think that I really was doing anything that people would notice.
Yes, I found that a lot of times when you're doing things that you perceive as things that need to be done, you don't realize how much of an inspiration it is to other people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, So I was in a green room where I was hanging out with Gary Hagen, who is the head of the the International Justice Mission, which is like right on the front lines of most major um, movements of social justice regarding violence, especially. Uh, Samantha Power, who's the newly appointed U.S. ambassador to the UN, which if you I mean you know me personally, for me to be in a room with someone like that would be insane.
Yes.
And then in walks in Don Cheadle, actor John Cheadle from Hotel Rwanda and Iron Man, uh, and that was a really interesting interaction. Um, you know that my cousin does the voice of the Little Mermaid and multiple other um, Disney characters and things like that. So I guess I never really have freaked out over celebrities before because I've just always known that they were normal people. So Don Cheadle walks into the room and everyone in the room is trying not to geek out. So because like they can't audibly geek out. So what they do is this. They're like
Right.
so everyone just smiling like really big.
It almost looks painful, I would imagine.
Well, and like Don Cheadle walks in, and and he's just like he like looks around the room. He sits down on a couch and he starts playing Candy Crush. You know that game that everyone's been playing lately.
Oh yeah.
So he's just sitting there playing Candy Crush, and then my friend Jade goes over and says something like, "Are you any good at that game?" And he's kind of like, "Eh," and doesn't say anything. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And then like the rest of the time I was in the green room, just like ugly crying with my friends Jason Russell and Jedediah Jenkins, and just like I don't know why I'm receiving this award. So
yeah, I can totally see that.
yeah. So it was interesting, and I really can't go into much other detail, but I'm planning to do a short video on my blog, The Running Surge. So just check that later, and I'll probably talk a lot more. But let's get down to business.
Let's get cerebral.
We are in our last episode of our block of episodes about disability and education, and we're doing a episode on special education and alternative education.
Yes, we are.
Now, I know that you don't have a lot of first-hand experience with special education, but I do know that a lot of your close friends have had that. So can you kind of just share your outside experience?
Well, a lot of my friends always said that they were frustrated with the curriculum in special education and told me that they felt as though it was not teaching them enough to become a productive and active member of society once they left school. They often expressed anger regarding the repetition in the classrooms, and they just wanted more out of the experience.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. I mean, I, I'm not really sure why I was in special ed outside of math, which I've spoken about on other episodes. I'm just terrible at math. But the structure of the special education system that I went through just did not make sense. So we were going at a slower pace than everyone else around us, trying to catch up, but we would never get there. And then also there was so much social stunting that I saw. One of the reasons I was clawing and scratching to get out of special education was is because I knew that socially it was going to keep me at odds with my peers. Um, but one of the overall issues I think in the American education system is that it's pretty cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it has um, like within special ed especially, it's there there wasn't a lot of varying degrees. It was either you're in special ed or you're in normal classes, and it wasn't really that I was so much slower that I needed to be in special ed. I would just needed certain facilitation in the classroom, but it put me in special ed, and the classwork was too easy. I mean, I was dominating.
The system is very black and white, so there's no middle ground for anyone.
Yeah, so it's kind of a one size fits all mentality in most education. So when it comes to special education and it comes to ideas around disability, now disability isn't a one size fits all thing. I mean, even within the realm of cerebral palsy, like you and I both have cerebral palsy, but it's very different how it plays out.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I think that causes a lot of the social problems that we see in regards to definitions and understanding of disability in our culture today.
I would agree.
Uh, Now, I know that you have had a lot more experience with crippled brothers and sisters throughout your life. I kind of shied away from it most of my life, but you've seen a lot of these long term effects of non integration on crippled brothers and sisters. Can you kind of share a little bit about that?
Well, like you said earlier, a lot of it is manifested in the social stunting of crippled brothers and sisters because they sit in these classrooms with people who may have mental delays or social behavioral problems, and then they're expected to relate to peers who do not have these experiences and they just don't know how to carry on conversations or appropriate behavior at school functions or things like that.
That is something that I really saw is that when crippled brothers and sisters don't have at least the option to integrate. I know that some, prefer not to have integration within society, and I definitely understand that to a certain extent. Uh, is that you basically have them have definitions centered around the fact that they're not like everybody else, but the fact of the matter is that they're human beings. I mean, most people with good intentions often tell me, well, but you're so normal. So when I tell them that, I was thrown in special ed programs for a good chunk of my life, and then they talk about how smart I am. I'm like, well, special ed doesn't always mean that you can't handle the classroom. It means that the classroom can't handle you.
Exactly.
And so what ends up happening is that you don't develop socially, you don't develop a proper understanding of the world around you, and so you'll always have this mindset that you cannot handle this world, and so you aim really low. I've seen it time and time again.
And it hinders you from any type of further education, such as college or vocational training, which is being phased out sadly. But vocational training was big when I was in school for people with people in special ed, and even in that setting, they did not know how to handle themselves or navigate that system because of the social stunting they experience through special education.
It's really, I see, one of the greatest missed opportunities within the education system. Um, I believe, especially at an early age, is that one of the most crucial things that we can do when we educate young people is get them to understand that all people have value, that all people have intrinsic value. And the way with a non integration set up and black and white cookie cutter understanding of special education, that does not convey those messages. It conveys the idea that people need to be treated differently, but it doesn't push an idea of value. It pushes an idea of tolerance, which tolerance and value aren't the same things.
And I believe it also creates a class system that forces people to accept labels that they don't have to accept.
Absolutely. So let's talk about a little bit about maybe theoretical alternative education models, because I think that that's one area that I have never seen approached is an alternative education model regarding disability. Now, there are the probably two most well-known alternative education models are the Montessori model and the Waldorf model, but I've never seen them used in regards to crippled brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that I would offer is for school systems and educators to try to judge the level of facilitation that each student needs and base their judgment of whether or not the student needs special education on that, because like you said earlier, oftentimes they don't if you just go by the cognitive level.
Uh, and something that I would really like to see implemented is ideas of artistic expression. I think that that is one of the greatest ways to kind of break social barriers within disability. But a lot of art programs are not set up, and then it's always kind of seen as therapeutic art, but not in the sense of you can engage as an artist. And that's why I think that alternative education models um, need to further expound upon integrating and an idea of liberatory disability understanding, which we have yet to see. So, teachers, if you're watching this, maybe you can be the pioneers, maybe you can be the front runners, maybe you can be the trailblazers, because your crippled brothers and sisters need you. And if you wish to see the change in the world that we're talking about, then you have to be the ones to do it. You have to be the ones that are fighting for it. You have to be the ones thinking outside the box and establishing new curriculum. So go for it if you're a teacher. If you're a parent of a crippled brother or sister, or just an able-bodied ally, well then I say that you start fighting. There's no better time than right now to quote unquote stand for your crippled brothers and sisters.
Yes, we cannot do it without the backing of able bodied people who support our cause.
Absolutely. Now, did you know that we actually got our first piece of fan mail?
I did
We
hear
we,
this.
we got our first piece of fan mail, and I'm really excited to share it. And this was sent by our sister Jovan in Pennsylvania, and she writes, "Dear CJ and Ron, I thought episode 10 was interesting. I could relate to it. My middle school experience wasn't bad, but my high school experience was hard. When I first went to high school, it was a bit of a shock because they put me in special needs gym class, and I was so used to regular gym classes. I hated that gym class. We basically didn't do anything that interested me, and and I didn't date in high school at all. The guys I was interested in weren't interested in me, and the guys that were interested in me, I wasn't interested in. My parents never talked to me about sex because probably they didn't know what to say, or because I already knew about safe sex and STDs from sex ed. My friends and some of my siblings would tease me for being a virgin, so I was really ashamed of that. Now, at the age of 24, I'm still a virgin, but no longer ashamed of it because I believe sex should be with someone you're in a serious relationship with. I just haven't found that person I have a strong I have a strong connection with yet. I look forward to more episodes from you guys. Yours truly, Jovan."
Thank you, Giovanni.
Absolutely, and I just appreciate your openness and you brought up a lot of things about special education and just how kind of sometimes it can be harmful. Also, you brought up a lot of good points about sex and dating, and I know that's a series of episodes that we're looking to do
We will get there.
in the near future. I think we're just kind of waiting for certain things to happen, but we do have some plans in the work. But that's our episode for this week. Stay tuned next week for episode 14. We'll be doing a new block of episodes on a new topic, so get excited. Now, for any of you that want to share another awesome story of what's going on in your life, you can email us at cerebralconversations@gmail.com. You can also check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/cerebralconversations. We're always posting articles and having a great time discussing. Also, we're on the Twitter, which is @cerebralconvos. And you can check out my personal blog, which is The Running Search at cjcampbell.tumblr.com. Ron Jackson, how can they get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook at Ron Jackson.
Awesome. So with that being said, keep it cerebral.
Peace.